The concern over another coronavirus outbreak is certainly noticed around the world, also here in the Holy Land, and not only by its residents. Millions of Christians who often come as pilgrims are now unable to travel to Israel and practice their faith. To discuss more about this issue are Ron Cantor here in the studio. Hello, welcome. And Ward Simpson from God TV, which is a sponsor of Shelanu. Thank you, both of us. Thanks for joining us. And Ward, hello in Nashville.
Hey, shalom to all of my friends in Israel.
I want to get more into the depth of everything that God TV believes, but basically tell us what happened and where you are now, because it's a very controversial issue here in Israel right now.
Sure. Well, about a year ago, we met with the representatives of HOT. They invited me to come out and meet with them. We had a great conversation. They asked if we, God TV, wanted to be on the air, and I said, well, we really don't want an English station on in Israel, as much as I love I-24 and watch all the time. Can we broadcast in Hebrew? And they said, sure, why not? And I said, really? And they said, yeah. So that began a process of finding funding, signing contracts. And the whole time we kept asking, now you're sure we can broadcast in Hebrew? And yeah, no problem. And we apparently we never actually applied for the license. That's what the cable TV channel does, rather the network. They applied for a license 3 different times. The last one was in March. It was approved. And it said very clearly that we would be broadcasting to the entire audience of Israeli viewers. However, after that, the head of the commission,
the FCC of Israel,
the FCC, right, of Israel, began to say, your agreement says that you can broadcast content only intended for Christians. And we're like, no, that's not what our license says. But, you know, they have a very loud voice, and they gained the narrative, and now half the world thinks that that's true. But the truth is, and it's in the contract, that we had a license written in Hebrew in black and white to broadcast Hebrew content to the entire nation.
Understood. So, Ward, bringing this to you, listen, there are hundreds of millions of people who watch God TV, and we know that, the evangelical world is, are huge Zionists of the state of Israel. What is your take to the, the response, from the FCC of Israel and the fears of the idea of proselytizing after, so much history, in the past from, earlier times? What do you have to say to, the inherent concern of that fact?
We were, very disappointed with the decision that they made. Our attorneys believe it's an illegal decision that we could easily win in court. But, listen, we are lovers of Israel. We are defenders of Israel. We're pro-Israel. And we have a mandate from the Lord, to be her defender, her advocate, and her watchman on her walls. So we're in a difficult situation right now. We certainly don't want any of our viewers around the world to have any ill feeling towards the Israeli people or the government, because we all love her dearly. And this was a simple situation where we were asked if we would like to have a channel, and we said yes, we would like it in Hebrew. We were given permission. The permission is in writing. We can show you the contract where we were approved to speak in Hebrew, and that's what I did. I went around the world and I told everyone, hey, great news. We've been given permission. This is a historic time. And everything went downhill from there. But, we're still trying to process what to do and how to do it.
If you could explain kind of from the standpoint of the evangelical world, because, very much believing in the Jewish people being back in Israel, but how do you define, explain that inherent kind of belief early on in the Jews becoming Christians? Is that true, or is that not true in the history of evangelicalism?
The first Messianic believers, they were all Jewish for about 10 years before even one Gentile began to confess faith in Yeshua. So the commission of Jesus the Jew in the book of Acts, he said, hey guys, well, he didn't literally say hey guys, but...
Oh, in his version, hey guys, kapara, in Hebrew, kapara.
I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I want you to wait in Jerusalem until the Spirit of God gives you power. And then I want you to go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and then the ends of the earth. So the commission that we received as Jews from the person that we believe is a Jewish Messiah is to share his message with the whole world, not just non-Jews, but our own brothers and sisters here in Israel as well.
Right. A lot of people, I think, don't realize, and we talked about this when I interviewed you before, I mean, the New Testament was also written many years after the fact, but we know that the crew, his posse, they were continuing to be Jews, but they just had a more spiritual kind of belief. It was just kind of I guess at the time, an alternative. So where did this bridge and separation happen in thought and theory or whatnot?
Well, if you had told them in those first few years, how great it is that they're now Christians, they would have asked you, what is a Christian? They were Jews, just like Lubavitch Jews, Chabad, who believes that their Rebbe is the Messiah. These were Jews who believed that their Rebbe, if you will, Jesus, was the Messiah. Now, why is it such an issue? Here's the big thing, is that when the church, if you will, became predominantly Gentile, it exploded all over the Roman world. In fact, it became the official Roman religion eventually. They turned against the Jews viciously. It became a political movement more than just a religion, and they expulsed Jews, they persecuted Jews, they even killed Jews. That's why you can be Jewish and be a Buddhist, you can be Jewish and be an atheist, you can be Jewish and be anything you want to be except be a believer in Yeshua, Jesus. And it's because of that bloody, horrific history that I've written about in several books, and it is a horrible history, but these people were not Christians. They had a title. They were basically the Christian version of Al-Qaeda.
All right, Ron, thank you. Ward, thank you. I wish we had more time, but I know to be continued. This is, a topic that begets a lot more time. So we'll revisit this in the future, and I'm wishing you the best of luck in your fight for free speech.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ward.